Welcome to the Unitarian Church of Los Alamos and this video worship for Sunday, September 20th, 2020. I am the Reverend John Cullinan, your minister here. As Unitarian Universalists, we affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people and gather together in free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are right now, wherever you are on your life's journey, you are welcome here among us. I extend a special welcome today to any of you who are coming to our church community for the first time through these video worship services. I invite you to connect with us on our Facebook page or at our website. And of course, if you have any questions about what you're experiencing through these video worships or about our church community, please get in touch with me by email and I'll be happy to have a chat with you. All of those addresses can be found below in the service notes. Thank you once again for welcoming us into your homes today. Welcome here into our beautiful church home. And now prepare yourselves for worship. Close your eyes, close the tabs in your browsers and in your mind. Feel yourself grounded and rooted where you are. Breathe in, breathe out. Let us begin. Give up the fight for some other moment, some other life than here and now. Give up the longing for some other world, the wishing for other choices to make, other songs to sing, other bodies, other ages, other countries, other stakes. Purge the past, forgive the future, for each come too soon. Surrender only to this life, this day, this hour, not because it does not constantly break your heart, but because it also beckons with beauty, startles with delight, if only we keep waking up. This is the gift we have been given, these body clothes, this heartbreak, this pulse, this breath, this light, these friends, this hope. Here we remember ourselves, all a part of it, giving thanks together. Come, let us worship. Love is the doctrine of this church, the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve life in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. Thus do we covenant with each and with all. Candles have been lit today for those in the paths of hurricanes, floods, fire, and fear, on top of everything else. And for Atlee Hickerson, son of Ann Payne Reeves, hit by a car while riding on a bike trail, suffering several skull fractures and broken teeth, and now home from the hospital. I light these candles for all of our joys and all of our sorrows, whether shared in the community or held in a quiet place in our hearts. Let us be with one another in a moment of silence. Let us be together in a moment of prayer and reflection. Eternal and beloved, gracious source of all life and all love, we enter into this moment of worship grateful for the time out of time that gives us pause to reconnect and become more fully present to ourselves, to our communities, and to that which we call holy. May our joys be celebrated together, our wounds be healed together, our hearts be opened together. Gracious Spirit of this community, may we be drawn into your heart. May our eyes and ears and minds be open to the myriad ways in which we are connected. We give thanks this day for the gifts and the graces, both large and small, that we have received this week. We rejoice in the love that binds us together and that has called us again to be present in spirit with one another. We acknowledge, too, those times where we have felt an absence of gifts and of grace in our life. We enter into the circle in this in-between space with a need to cry out to one another for help. Let us remember in this circle all who are in need of our special care. May we remember that we hold our hearts and this circle open to all who are in need. May we find the strength to reach out to others when called upon, and the courage to call out to others when we need the strength of this circle. May this time give us pause and give us the space to renew our spirits for the week to come. All this we pray in the names of those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten, in the names of all the helpers of humankind. Amen.
Sustaining the Tree of Life by Lynn, Gardner. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved the tree. Children played beneath it and climbed its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing, and elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much, and when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations, laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. Animals loved the tree too. Like monkeys and rabbits and squirrels and myrmidons and crocodiles and gnar puppies and froggies. And bats and birds flew in to eat the abundant fruit. The tree seemed to be buzz with life. One day, a traveling merchant arrived in the village. He rested in the shade and ate 2 pieces of delicious fruit. "The fruit is incredible," he said. "I would like to have some to sell in the next villages that I visit. Who owns this tree? No one owns this tree, replied a villager. If anything, we belong to it. Well then, if no one owns the tree, then no one will mind if I pick the fruit. Said the merchant, and he began to fill a basket. I mind, said the villager, and today I am the keeper of the tree. What do you mean, keeper of the tree? Well, we each take our turn being here with the tree. We could never own it. We are here as protectors and sustainers. That's ridiculous. This tree doesn't need you. You could just take what you need, take what you want. Yeah, the tree will continue. But the villager couldn't be persuaded. Sir, this tree isn't like that. We don't come here to take from it, even though we receive much. We are keepers of the tree because this is where we are nourished. This is where some of our most precious memories are, and where our people have dreamed. This is where we remember who we want to become. Well, said the merchant, you may think this tree is very special, but it still doesn't need you to sit with it. That is preposterous. Ah, replied the villager, the tree itself may not need me, but what of others who come by? Just this morning, I sat with a woman whose heart was heavy with worry. Had I not been here, she would have had to carry that weight alone. And this afternoon, a tired couple came by and they rested with me. They said they had been looking for a place like this. And then an elder came by and we watched the birds in the branches together. And now you are here. You are confused about what this tree is and how to be with it. Imagine if you had arrived and not found anyone here to talk with. You might have continued thinking that everything you do is all about you. Luckily for you, my friend, I am here to let you know that when you care for the tree of life, it becomes about so much more than just you. And the merchant sat for a while in the shade, thinking about these things, and felt new and a little challenging. As the sun went down, he picked up his bag and headed out of town, whistling a song that he hadn't thought of in years. On his way, he shared a smile with each person he met, his heart feeling strangely light and joyful. And the people of the village, they continued to sustain the tree of life, to care for one another, and to share their gifts with grace and gratitude. And may it be so for each of us. And may you all share your gifts with each other and your family and friends, like myrmidons and monkeys and frogs.
Our reading this morning comes to us from Laura Mancuso, My Commitments to Myself. I take care of myself first, because I am deserving of exquisite care. I take care of myself to maintain the capacity to help others. I move and stretch my body every day. I spend time in nature attuning my senses to the earth's wisdom. I ration my daily exposure to the news. I identify and access credible sources of information. I protect myself from becoming overwhelmed by information about the pandemic. I pace myself. I sit with the reality of uncertainty and impermanence and allow it to temper my desire for control. I listen without judgment to others' reactions, which may be different from mine. I forgive myself and others when stress brings out our shadow selves. I feel fear fully when I am fearful. I experience sadness fully when I am sad. I allow anger fully when I am angry. I relish joy fully when I am joyful. I seek out healthy pleasures and indulge in them without guilt. I remind myself that feelings are transient states that move through me. They do not last, and they do not define me, nor do my thoughts. I balance my drive for self-improvement with compassionate acceptance of myself as I am right now. I initiate contact with loved ones to let them know I hold them in my heart. I seek out with increased sensitivity those who are the most vulnerable. If possible, I share my resources with those who need help to survive. When possible, I move away from people, situations, and experiences that do not serve my highest good. I strengthen my connection to my sources of spiritual strength so that I continue to be replenished. I acknowledge the nearness of death as a key motivator for living a full life. I pray for the suffering of all beings to cease. I grieve my losses and celebrate my successes. I remain open to new ways of being, surprising sources of joy, and unanticipated discoveries every day. When I started my vacation at the beginning of last month, I determined for myself that I was going to write a screenplay. I'd had an idea bouncing around in my head for a while, and now finally, I was going to have some time to really put some good creative work in on it. And I sat down at my computer on that very first day, and I banged out the first 5 pages, the opening scenes of my new, soon-to-be hit movie. And then I bragged to some friends about how I'd started it, and I was going to finish it by the end of the month. I was going to do the 30-day screenplay if I could just keep the pace up. Could I maintain that energy? And the answer was no. No, that was it. That was my creative energy for the entire vacation, at least as far as writing the screenplay went. I was drained of it all. And I didn't put down another word on that project for the remainder of the month. And as the days went on and I got closer and closer to the end of the vacation and I was closer and closer coming back to work, I was beating myself up for losing my creative juice, for letting myself give in to the fatigue that I was feeling and the rest that I knew I was needing. I beat myself up pretty badly on my way back in to the ministry. Now, last week, I talked to you all about the crisis of faith I was feeling, the way that I identified with John Murray and the story of him and Thomas Potter. The crisis of faith I was feeling because of the wave of bad human behavior I was seeing all around me. But let me be clear with you, that crisis of faith just wasn't stemming from what I was seeing in others outside of myself. That crisis of faith was coming from my own self-criticism and the beating up of myself that I was doing, the despair I was feeling at falling short of the creative goals I was setting for myself, and the fatigue I was feeling. But also, last week, I talked about renewing our commitments to our universalist faith, to that belief in an everlasting and unshakable love, and the fact that we are its hands in the world, if anyone is going to be its hands in the world. And the truth is, the first person that I have to extend the hands of that everlasting love to is my own self. In the midst of everything that's going on, and as I said to Jess earlier this week, feeling in the depths of some of that despair again, man, everything is just too everything right now. In the midst of all that everything, I need to remember to take it easy on my own soul. Think about it. We are bombarded constantly by the world with messages of perfection that is expected of us. Get your perfect life together, build the perfect family, have the perfect love, sculpt the perfect body, make the perfect home, have the perfect job, and in your free time, have the perfect recreational life. Oh, and while you're at it, have the perfect emotional life. Be happy, be positive, at least in public. Don't bum us out with any of your downers. Don't be sad where we can see it. And even more so now, in the middle of this lockdown era, we are being bombarded with those messages. Hey, are you spending more time at home now because of the pandemic? Well, why don't you redecorate your whole home? Learn all the new skills you always wanted to learn. Take up 50 new hobbies. Write that book or that screenplay. You have the time. What do you mean you're sitting on your couch binging The West Wing for the 20th time in a row? Do something. But here's the thing, all of that, all of those messages, all of those expectations, they aren't us. They're not me. They're not you. This message that we hear, this bombardment of the expectation of perfection, all that is a demand for your energy, for our energy, in the service of something that may not ultimately be us. Demanding of me what is not me. Demanding of our precious energy, resources, to be spent in the service of some greater consumer machine. and we internalize these messages. We start to believe that that is actually what is expected of us, this perfection in all things. Internalize it to the point that we can't tell where we end and that machine starts, and my God, it's exhausting, isn't it? It is exhausting pursuing these impossible standards that we have set upon ourselves because that is what we are hearing the world demand from us. Good Lord, no wonder we are all getting so tired and so cranky, and no wonder we get down on ourselves. But at that moment, we have to remember that our hands are the hands of that unending and unshakable love that we are renewing our commitment to. And the first motion of those hands in this process is to say, stop. Give me some space, please. I am reclaiming my time. I am reclaiming my energy. I'm reclaiming my sense of who I am, who I know that I am, and who I know that I want to be. Stop for a second. Block out those messages demanding perfection and take some time to name our own priorities in the world. What we want to do with our lives, who we want to be. Stop and take time to name our own self in relationship to the world and not let the world jam us into some kind of box that wasn't ours to begin with. We need to insist upon the wholeness of our own selves. Demand that the world accepts us as the whole person we know that we are. The whole person in all of our gifts and in all of our imperfection. Now, hang on, you might be saying, imperfection is a little strong. I'm a little uncomfortable with that word. I know I'm uncomfortable with the concept frequently. It is not comfortable to think about ourselves as imperfect creatures. We have so internalized this outside message of perfection from the world. But that is where so much of our struggle with our capacity to love ourselves comes from. It is hardest to love ourselves when our imperfections are revealed, when we become awake to our own shortcomings. Now, we know in our heads we are imperfect. We know this even as we insist on our priorities in life. We set priorities based on what we know we can and cannot do. And still, setting those priorities and insisting on ourselves, we fall short of our goals time and time again. We disappoint ourselves so easily, don't we? And we punish ourselves for those disappointments with little to no mercy. And this is when we need that universalist message most of all. As we are renewing our commitment to our faith and to our commitment to being the hands of that unending and unshakable love in the world, we need to understand, we need to renew the understanding of what that message means for our own selves. Let's look at the early theology of that universalist message in terms of what it means for our own selves, what the Thomas Relleys and John Murrays of the world were telling us as they preached this gospel of universalism, to give not hell but hope and courage, that God loves us unendingly and unshakably. What they were saying is that God created us to be imperfect, and that nevertheless, God loves us as imperfect beings, not in spite of our imperfection, but because we were created to be so. And so who are we in our finiteness and our imperfection to cast ourselves into our own personal hells because we cannot live up to an ideal that was not placed on us by the Creator in the first place? the perfection that is demanded of us was never expected in the first place. We were made to be imperfect. So why not embrace our imperfectness? I've been spending a lot of time the last several years working on changing my relationship to my own imperfection. See, I have struggled with a sense of perfectionism my whole life. And the impossibility of reaching that goal of perfection has marred my sense of self for much of my life and has kept me fearful of being and doing in the world, because the being and the doing would never be perfect. And the wonderful thing about my work in centering play and imagination into community building now through my improvisation studies is that it has led me to an acceptance of my own imperfection and all of our imperfections. It is changing my relationship to imperfection. When that imperfection is a given, we come to understand that it's a feature of our systems and not a bug. Mistakes are going to happen. Falling short of our goals is a default outcome. And when I live into that, when we live into that, when perfection is no longer required of us, when we can begin to reject that message, the amazing thing is that the courage to be and to act follows. Because we know the mistakes are inevitable, and we know that we'll learn and we will grow from the errors that are inevitably coming. I usually find personal affirmations a little hokey, but I'm starting to embrace a few here or there in my daily life. And one of my new favorites is this: I am going to screw up today, and it is going to be awesome. Because here's the thing, once I give up on my own sense of ego and sense of control that I have of the world around me, or lack, as is the case, then I start to realize that most of my mistakes, most of the fruits of my imperfection are not so huge that they are going to destroy the universe. They might feel personally earth-shattering in the moment, but when I change my relationship to the imperfect, I know that I will learn and I will grow from the places I fall short. And even if it takes time to learn the lessons of my mistakes and to grow from them, I will, after I have made them, still be a valuable human being, still be worthy of that unending and unshakable love. We are entering the dark days of the year, when the days grow shorter and the nights grow longer, and that always has an effect on us. But this year especially, I believe we are headed towards a very long fall and a very long winter, because the novelty of this pandemic time has completely worn off by now, along with whatever little joy of the new we might have found in there in the change to our routines. There was a lot of stress and anxiety built into that, and that is going to skyrocket in the days to come as we grow tired of this new normal. And a lot of that anxiety and a lot of that stress and a lot of that critique of the world is going to be aimed at our own selves in the process. And if we don't spend some time trying to shift our relationship to ourselves, try to embrace our imperfect natures and try to reclaim our sense of self and the time and the energy that it takes, if we don't see to our own self-love, all of that stress and all of that anxiety is going to spill onto others. I'm seeing it happen already around me. I can feel myself on the brink of it now and again. So as we are taking time to renew our commitment to being the hands of this unending and unshakable love, remember that the first recipient of that work is our own self. That we are renewing our commitment to that sense of self-love and acceptance and forgiveness too. In the weeks and the months to come, take it easy on yourself, on your own hurting soul. Make space for yourself, for the wholeness of yourself, in all of your gifts, in all of your graces, in all of your imperfections. Make space for yourself as you truly know yourself and know who you want to be in the world. Insist to the world on that wholeness when the world demands the impossible and the unreasonable from us. Know that it is okay to say out loud to yourself or to someone that you love, I am not okay. Because very few of us are right now. And certainly none of what is going on us around right now is. No, it is okay to say you are not okay. And give yourself permission and time and space to be the imperfect creature you were made to be. Love yourself, because that imperfect person is who you were meant to be. Know that you are always and unshakably worthy of that love. And even in the darkest moments, even if you hit those moments of that crisis of faith and you struggle to love yourself as you should, know that in any case, that I love you. And I know others do too. May it be so. And now it is time to give a gift from our church community to the larger community of which we are a part. It is time for our offering. For the month of September, the entirety of our offering will be given to the UUA's Disaster Relief Fund in support of congregations and other UU nonprofit organizations that have experienced hardship due to natural or financial disasters. Please use the Givelify link in the service notes below to make your donation. May what you give bring you joy and into deeper relationship with this community. Friends, may life bless us and keep us. May the light of life shine upon us and out from within us and be gracious to us and bring us peace. For this is the day. This is the one wild and precious life we are given. So let us all find a way to rejoice and be glad in it. Go in peace.